Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
The Real Housewives.
Real Housewives. Hey, y'all, hey. Welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura. And we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even housewives fighting over nonsense. We love to watch. We love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
The Real Housewives.
Real Housewives.
Checking in on all of the Bravo franchises out right now because there are way too many airing at the same time.
There's a lot. Yes, and before we get into it and introduce our very special guest, please make sure you're giving Sisters Who Watch 5 stars wherever you listen. Rate, download, subscribe. 5 stars, please. Follow us on social media at Sisters Who Watch. And you can buy our merch on our website. And we also have listener support on Spotify. And you can also Zelle us. So thank you for your support.
Yes, and very exciting. Today, we have our first returning guest ever on the show. Ben Mandelker is back with us.
Oh my God, hi. It feels so good to be returning and the first ever returning guest. Thank you for having me. It's like SNL. I'm like hosting a second time. It's like when someone hits like the 5-timers club or something, you know?
Yeah,
right, we'll give you a jacket. We'll give you a special Sisters Who Watch jacket, just like they do on SNL.
I would love that. I could be part of the clubhouse.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, our guest Hall of Fame, Ben. You're the only person. It's great.
Thank you. It's only me. I'm the only one allowed. No one else can come back to the show.
We're huge fans of Watch What Crappens. You and Ronnie are hilarious. So
thank you very much. Thank you.
Of course.
Yes. So we're calling this episode Real Housewives Happy Hour, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you guys do happy hour on Watch What Crappens. And last time we talked about all the different franchises, but specifically honed in on Beverly Hills. But this time we're going to give love to all of them equally. So Housewives Happy Hour. Okay.
Love it.
So let's get into it. So DUI season 2 recently ended, and I'm just curious what your thoughts were on season 2. Did it live up to the expectations? Was it as good as season 1?
The thing is, the expectations that I had were like, there were no expectations. So like it just by default, it exceeded the expectations. Because I personally, when you said did it live up to season 1, I don't think you want to live up to season 1 personally. I did not like season 1 at all, but I thought season 2 was great. I think this is like standing ovation for coming out with a banger second season. Like they understood the mission, the assignment for the mission. This was, to me, this harkens back to Miami season 2, because Miami season 1 was kind of wonky. Although I enjoyed season 1 Miami more than I enjoyed season 1 Dubai, but season 2 Miami was fantastic. Yes. A lot of people are only new to Miami from like season 4 onwards, which, by the way, no shame in that. Miami is like a top tier franchise, but season 2 of Miami was fantastic. And so Dubai just brought that energy. They just kind of, I felt like they are what I want from Housewives, which is like, okay, we didn't have a great season. Let's look at the tape. Let's look at how we could be better. Let's like suck it up and let's put on a show. Let's be active in this. And they have a great season. I was so proud of them.
Yay. Oh, that's glad to hear. I know Shelby isn't into Dubai as much. I personally love Dubai. I think it's so chaotic. I love how diverse it is. They just have such kooky characters. And to see such a different culture compared to, all the basic women in OC, like it's just exciting and interesting.
Yeah. I feel like the housewives fall into 2 categories. It's either like a suburban housewife or it's like cosmopolitan housewives. And so like Dubai is in a city with like high glamour. Although, as Ronnie mentioned on Crappens, and such a good observation, like the city always feels empty whenever they go out and about. It's like an empty mall. But like they show up in these cars, these like sports cars that are insane. Chanel Ion has like a ball gown on. They're all just so extra. And I feel like season 1 they were extra, but there was nothing to do. It was just like boring. But this time they were like, oh, we should be petty. And so they're being petty. And it was just so much better. Like it was like really night and day. Like I was so not looking forward to Dubai coming back. Because like as a recapper, it's like, oh God, how am I going to like find a way into this? How am I going to make this funny or be interested? But like the show is great.
And what did you think of the new cast member, Taleen? Was she a good addition?
Great addition. I thought she fit right in. She was funny, she's relatable, but then she's also like totally, self-involved. She was very like transparently trying to like lock her place in. She was kissing Caroline Stanbury's ass very clearly. But that's like the age-old tradition that when someone new comes onto a cast, you then like turn your back on the person who brought you in. In this case, it was Caroline Brooks.
Yes.
So like she like did her homework. And when, later on in the season and they're accusing her of like, oh my God, you just wanted to be on the show so badly. It's like, yes, she did. And she did a very good job. She did all the things that she was supposed to do. So good job. Did you like her? Do you like Taleen?
I did like Taleen. I thought that I liked how she was messy. She did not shy away from any of the drama. The storyline about her box being shown to Sergio, I thought was hilarious. She was in the bushes.
Yes.
She brought the spice, she brought the energy, and I like how she came for Brooks. Brooks needs to be put in her place, so I enjoyed Taleen.
Right, and she also made Brooks like more fun in that way because I feel like Brooks is like trying to do her part. I think in both seasons she's sort of like chaotic and kind of drunk and like she's ready to start petty arguments, but like no one was willing to play with her, and so now like okay, like Taleen, they set themselves up to have a nice little feud and rivalry that worked really well.
I think we're ready for our next franchise, Shelby.
Ooh.
Wow, yeah, let's do it.
Moving on. Real Housewives of Orange County, season 18. Bit of a train wreck. You gotta dive.
Wow.
Wow.
This season is insane. And like the second to last episode of the season, their last episode in London, how wild was that episode? They were throwing so much shit at the wall. And like just the accusations, it's like your teenage daughter, corrupted my 8-year-old children. Well, you threw someone down the stairs. Well, what about you? Your boyfriend is being investigated by the FBI. And what about you? Well, you like how could you be friends with the person who's suing me? Like it's insane. Like the level of attacks they were leveling at each other.
Honestly, there's so much to unpack with the season. I mean, Alexis Bellino. Can you believe she's back? What?
It's
her dating Johnny
shocking. Johnny J with her like Ohio accent. She's like, oh my God, Johnny J is like, he is just like the nicest guy. Yeah, it's wild that Alexis Bellino is back. And honestly, looking at the season finale when Joe came back, you realize that like this show has like decades, at this almost 2 decades worth of people and storylines and history that has happened through it. Like Dubai is such a baby. Like 2 seasons in, and it's like there's barely anything there. But when you have some of these older shows where the relationships go back so far, it really creates a rich tapestry of emotions. Yeah. Vicky and Joe were both on the season finale of OC. The show started in 2006, which meant realistically it was probably shot 2005, right? Like that's 19 years ago. Like that is wild. Like there are few shows that are on that long. That's like Law and Order levels, and except these are real people. It's just it's crazy.
I'm confused by Alexis's new personality though. I'm like, where did this come from?
Please give me your pitch on what her new personality is, because I'd love to like drill down on Alexis Bellino.
When she was on the show before, right? She felt like she was trying to come off as this like good girl, and I'm a Christian, and I don't really do anything wrong.
A little Stepfordy, right?
Yes, exactly, like the perfect housewife. And now she's just so loud, talking all the time, causing drama. It's like she wants to stay on the show, maybe, so she's like overdoing it, like she's performing.
100%. She like last time, the Housewives were a thing when she was on last. I mean, I don't remember the years she was on. Was that like maybe like 2011? Well, she said it'd been 12 years. So she probably was on like 2010 to 2012 or so. Yeah. And so Housewives were like a thing, but it's just not the same. Like now it's just so much bigger. And I think she's like, I've been out of the game for 12 years. This is my on-ramp. I'm gonna seize this opportunity. She's like, I am Fun Time Lexi right now. Okay, she's no longer Alexis Bellino. She's Fun Time Lexi, and she's gonna seize the ring, the orange or whatever, and she's gonna go for it. And like, I think her desperation is hilarious, and people are like, get rid of her. I'm like, no, I think you have to keep her. Honestly,
I love her.
I think that like she is the chaotic villain that is works so well on this show. Because
And-
otherwise you're stuck with Gina and Emily. I'm sorry. And like, you know, that's just not like this show really thrives with a good enemy. Tamara is a great awful villain. She has her villainy up to a 10 right now, and like she knows how to do it. People are like, fire Tamara. I'm like, no, people, you don't.
No.
You have to learn your lessons. Yes, we don't want awful people to have platforms, but we also want our storytelling to have heroes and villains. And if you only have heroes, it's a little dull. So therefore, Tamara must stay, Alexis must stay, Heather must stay in my book.
I'm with you. I'm loving Tamara this season. She is incredible. When she pulled off that FBI hat in the finale, crying, tears.
She's so awful. Like, it's funny, but I'm like laughing. I feel like people are like, she's awful, and they're like furious. I'm like, no, she's awful, but this is hilarious. This woman is like, Shannon Beador is clearly has a drinking problem. We all see it. And she's like, yeah. It's like, what? How is that? Would you ever say that to your friend who has a drinking problem? Like, yeah. It's like she thinks she's doing some sort of like one woman intervention, and it's just so cruel. I'm like, how do you do this? Like, how are you doing this right now?
It kind of reminds me of Dorinda on New York.
Mm-hmm.
People were like, oh, Dorinda's being too mean. And then Dorinda eventually, right, she leaves the show. And I think the show struggled. And I think OC struggled when Tamara did leave. So we need Tamara.
Yes, although I personally felt that the Noella season was a really great season. And a lot of people like are like, ew, not the Noella season. I'm like, no, please go back and observe. That season was absolutely hilarious. Noella was the best train wreck, and it was great because she was pitted against Heather Dubrow, and Heather Dubrow being a put together society lady actress, and then you have Noella, who's just a sobbing mess from the Brandy Glanville School of Housewives. To me, that was a wonderful dichotomy, and I think that like Dr. Jen, yes, massive failure of casting right there, but like that season, I thought that season was a chef's kiss, and that was without Tamara. But that being said, when Tamara came back, it was even better.
For sure.
And I'm curious, you mentioned the Katie's daughter, Emily's kids situation. None of it makes any sense to me. What do you think happened? Do you think Katie's daughter lied about the situation?
No, those kids lied. I'm sorry. Listen, those little brats lied. Okay. First of all, children lie all the time. If they're going to get in trouble, they're going to lie. That is what kids do. Okay. This is not an indictment on Emily being a parent. Emily is just a mom. I guarantee, first of all, the kids overheard Emily. I don't think Emily was as, discreet as she thought she was. For someone who complains a lot about like how her mother impacted her, she's going to act like she has no impact on her kids. No, those kids hear it. All of us remember our parents talking shit about their friends. I'm sorry, we all do. Okay, so the kids already heard that. But then what comes out in this, there's a subtlety that comes out in the season finale, which is that Kaylee says, the kids are like, do you know Heather Dubrow? She's mean, whatever that the kids say. And Kaylee was like, yeah, I think she's sort of mean to my mom too. And then the kids go and tell Heather what Kaylee said. So the kids, I think, just took out that they were the one who got the ball rolling on the discussion. Now, Kaylee was a dumbass because Kaylee should never have engaged with this with the kids. And Kaylee definitely should not have brought this up on camera. And Katie, when her daughter started to bring it up, should not have been like, oh, wait, listen to this. And then when Katie's confronted with it in the finale, she shouldn't have been like, well, I didn't say it. My daughter said it. It's like, okay, this is sort of bad behavior all around. But I think it starts with those little kids. That's my theory. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm with you. Why would Katie's daughter lie? It just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, I'm with you. The kids, she's not just going to pull it out of thin air.
Yeah, no, kids, this is what always happens. Parents were like, not my children. My children would never say that. It's like, yes, they would. Look at all the kids. Look at all the kids in the history of kids. You would say it. Think about when you were a kid. Would you have said it? Of course you would have said it. Okay. The kids lied. Okay. And I think actually in this case, it's not so much that the kids lied. I think that they took themselves out of the equation in a certain way. They said something, Kaylee responded, and then they just took what Kaylee said. This is what happens on Survivor all the time, by the way. I don't know, do you guys watch Survivor?
Yes.
I'm behind, a few episodes behind, but what you guys know what happens is this. It's like, who should we vote out? And then you'll be like, well, let's vote out Shelby. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll go to someone, yeah, Laura said we should vote out Shelby. And it's like, I was the one who got the ball rolling, but you're the one who actually said the name. So then you get thrown under the bus.
I honestly feel bad for Katie because it seems like everyone is so quick to blame her and pounce on her.
I think she handled herself really well at the end there. In a way, the audience really liked the way she was, like when Heather Dubrow was like, you're laughing at me. Your children were laughing at me. They said I was mean. And she's like, yeah, whatever it was. Like she just was like, yeah, because you are mean. And I think the audience really liked that. And so I think if Katie can continue with that energy, I think she will do well.
And one last question about OC. Do you think Heather called the paparazzi? What do you think about the whole thing?
I don't know. Like, I think that she probably did. But I can also see her and Terry being cheesy like that. Because at first I was like, this is weird. But I did find out, someone did say that they are like Disney adults. And they are like the sort of people that go to Disney all the time. So I can see them just like standing in front of the Magic Castle and be like, oh, look at this adorable servants' quarters. You know, it's so quaint, you know, and just like looking at it so pleasantly. I just don't, I don't know. It's hard to know. Terry did make a pretty good case, which is like, I would love it if the paparazzi were there. I love the paparazzi being there. Like I would say it if I called the paparazzi. He is pretty shameless about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
that's a
think
good
probably
point.
they did.
It's also one of those things. Katie says she has her receipts. Like, I just don't understand why she would just like make something completely up, you know? So
yeah, I mean it's all kind of murky because Katie's connection is she's like, hey, did Heather and Terry call the paparazzi? And then this person just goes yes, and there's like nothing beyond that. So it's like, well, but they were that person is probably, I'm assuming they said yes because they're like, our experience is that whenever it's something like this happens, the paps have always been called. But I think the paparazzi were probably called now that we talk about it a little bit more. But I think that Katie got really screwed. I think that Gina encouraged Katie to bring that up, and then Gina immediately turned on her, which I thought was so shitty.
Set up. I smell a stunt.
It was a total setup.
That was definitely fake by Gina. Okay, on to Salt Lake City. So I'm curious your thoughts about Bronwyn, costume or couture. I feel like she's gone onto the season with a splash. What do you think of her?
Yeah, I love Bronwyn. I think she's been great. I wasn't sure, but like when I saw the previews and I saw in the previews her wearing that like kind of like yellow, like almost like bikini top and bottom in the middle of the cold, I was like, oh, this girl's so thirsty. But actually, I really like her a lot. I think she feels not like a cartoon, which I appreciate. That feels like there's like layers there, and I like that. The couture, I mean, some of it is like, it's so out there that I'm like, I don't know if it's costume, but I don't know if this is couture either. But I did actually wind up really enjoying that hot dog dress because the more I looked at it, the more I realized it was just a cape and a dress, but that my eyes were fooling me into thinking it was a hot dog costume. And I was like, that's pretty cool. You know, do you guys like her?
Yeah, I'm a fan. I think she's kooky. I think she's authentic. She's a breath of fresh air. I think everyone on Salt Lake City. This is my first time watching like a season from beginning to end, like up to date. And yeah, last season just kind of sucked me in, so I gotta stay. And I think Bronwyn is a good addition. She is wild, and they showed that montage of her going to the airport in those costumes.
Yeah.
What?
I would never. And also that's too much. I'm sorry, that's too much. I'm also surprised she didn't get like shot by a soldier. Like I feel like you're not like allowed to fool around in airports. And so like showing up in a big inflatable costume, I'm surprised like some like guard there was not like take her down. I don't know. Like I just would never. I'm always so serious in an airport. I'm like, do not do anything wrong. Also, I don't want to be in an inflatable costume. I feel like there's not a lot of breathability, and I just see myself sweating, and I'm just not going to sweat over Todd. But I do think that Bronwyn has, I think she has like a steely core that that like you wouldn't necessarily think is there based off of her sort of wacky costumes, but she, I feel like, gets her way. And she also like she's really like not afraid of Heather. I think Heather is trying to kind of pull rank over her. She threw her under the bus immediately over something so stupid, and then she was like, I don't like the way you talk about Whitney. I'm like, since when do you like Whitney again? You've been hating Whitney for the past 2 seasons, and now suddenly Bronwyn comes in and says one shady thing, and then you're gonna make it seem like Bronwyn's talking all sorts of massive shit. So I like that Bronwyn was like, I'm throwing a trip, and I may exclude you from the trip, and like that is a power move.
I love that scene at Bronwyn's house when Heather stormed out. That was hilarious. I also loved Angie's, wedding anniversary and Jared Osmond just walking in. Surprise. Cinema. Absolute cinema. What do you think of Jared Osmond and Brittany's on and off again relationship?
Well, first of all, they're both two very thirsty people, and he is incredibly thirsty, and like the whole thing that he just is a private person and he only wants to express his love privately is such bullshit. And like the fact that he showed up to that party, that just shows how full of shit he really is. I mean, when she's sitting there in the restaurant, the episode before, crying because he won't hold her hand in public, or when they do hold hands, he drops her hand when they walk by, like a hot woman, which is so shitty. And like he doesn't like he wants to get like a trophy for kissing her in public. He's like, well, I kissed you in public. I'm doing the work. And it's like, how, like, why is this considered effort? Like that's like part of it. That's not extra credit if you kiss the person you love or that you're seeing in public. So the fact that he says, well, I don't do those things because I'm a private person, and yet he just shows up for more screen time when he knows that she's actually on a date because Justin told him that. So he's coming in explicitly to cock block her. No, this guy's a piece of shit. But Brittany's also like so thirsty. Like she there's a reason why she did not get a snowflake and why Bronwyn did, because this is a woman who has no substance, who is like there purely just to try to be dramatic, and she's like trying to be a real housewife, but Bronwyn is a real housewife.
Period. I totally agree. I feel like Brittany, her entire storyline is her dating an Osmond. Like that's it.
That's it.
That is it. And it's a great storyline that I think is hilarious. But yeah, Bronwyn has so much more going on in her life.
But I also feel like the Brittany storyline was just sort of foisted upon us without like us as an audience saying, okay, we're ready for this. Like it was just like we met her and it's like, she's dating an Osmond, and she's like, well, I don't know, guys, we may be breaking up. I'm like, wait, it's too early for me to care if you're together or breaking up. Like Bravo, I think, has actually failed her a little bit. They needed to like kind of build up who she is as a person, and let's see them together happily for a moment. But they like sort of just like dropped us in the middle of their strife, and it was like an unearned storyline. And so now every time it comes up, it's like, ugh, like I never co-signed this.
That's a good point. We're just like dropped in. She's dating an Osmond, and that was it.
Like let us see her at home. Let's see her doing things. Let's see her with Osmond, and like it should have been like an episode of her saying how happy she is, and then do a scene of him being a total dick, and then we're like, oh god, this guy's awful, and then we go from there.
Make us producers, Bravo.
I'm gonna say, you want to produce Salt Lake City now.
I know. They probably were gonna do that, but they started these seasons in such a fascinating way. Like that first episode was like this postmodern episode that took place at a dinner party, but then was like peppered with all these flashbacks. So like we didn't have the normal start to a season. We just started in the drama and then then we went backwards and came forwards. It was bizarre. It was cool.
Should we move on to Real Housewives of Potomac?
Let's do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Easy. So what do you think about the cast shakeup? We no longer have Robin. We no longer have Nneka, short-lived. And of course,
short-lived.
Candace.
Poor Nneka.
Yeah. I know.
Poor
Justice to Nneka.
I know. I liked her. She just came in the worst possible season.
Worse. Ugh. Never had a chance. And then, of course, Kierna is now a full-time cast member. And then I'm forgetting the...
Stacey.
There's
Yes.
Stacey. I think they did a great job shaking it up. Like this should be like the textbook example. They found two people that just... It's not like you would sit there and be like, oh, these two people are contributing to the downfall of this show. But they clearly were like, oh, if we take these two people out, the show is going to start working again. And I never would have known that was like, those were going to be the two to be removed. I mean, Robin, I think we were all like ready for Robin to go. I think that like, it's like, okay, Robin, she's no longer being authentic with us. She's sort of like a downer. She's not that interesting anymore. She's past her peak. That's fine. And then Candace, like, it's like, I was like, I don't know, are they going to get rid of Candace? Like, are they not going to? But I think Candace was the right choice. I personally felt that Candace was sort of phoning it in last season. How did you guys feel about her last season?
I felt like she was barely on. Like, what was her
Yeah.
storyline? It was like, oh, I might want to have a baby, and
Yeah.
like it
Gonna
wasn't much
sing.
happening. Yeah, and singing.
I think that she was checked up because she was now like, I'm seeing myself as a singer and not as a real housewife. And she had a feud with Robin, but it was a feud that never made any sense to any of us because it was about something that happened in a text message at a reunion, which we only found out at the next reunion. So, like, their entire feud, didn't their whole feud make no sense? It was like, I'm accusing Robin, who had my back all of last season, but I'm accusing her of actually only pretending to have my back as a way to distract away from her problems. And I'm mad that she distracted away from her problems because I had to put out all my problems on the show. And it's like, it was such a convoluted argument for such a fight that was so bitter. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And it's like too much of the season.
Yeah, her personality and her only storyline last season was hating Giselle and Robin, and that's not enough of a storyline.
No,
it wasn't. And it was like, you know, what Giselle did was super, super, super shady. And like Giselle backtracked and then was like, well, no, I was just saying I was uncomfortable, etc. And I don't know if Candace owed Giselle an apology or not because it's such a fraught area. But Candace obviously was not. Was over Giselle, and Giselle was over Candace because Candace is like vile on social media, and then she always acts like she's like, I can't believe people say I'm vile on social media, like I'm the one who's the victim here. So then like Giselle's mad at Candace, and it's like there's no way forward. And honestly, they're always gonna pick Giselle over Candace because Giselle is Giselle. Giselle and Karen, they're not gonna imperil that.
never. Too important.
So, but the new season is great. It is so good, so hilarious. They did it right. They got everything right. Like I thought it was going to take 3 seasons to get back on track. Like the fact that Potomac was able to rebound so quickly, I think is really, really great.
I'm really pleasantly surprised. And to your point, it's interesting. Like you remove Robin and Candace, and it's like, whoa, now Giselle and Wendy get along. It's like removing those people. It's like everyone else is now able to connect. And it's like, huh.
Well, they also realize like, oh, like our jobs are on the line. So, you know, like Wendy also is kind of like, okay, I'm gonna be a little bit more fun. Giselle is gonna be like a little bit more. She toned down her shadiness a little bit to sort of like make connections with people. So I think it's working really well. I think Stacey is actually a really good addition. Because she brings a different dynamic. Like Ronnie and I joke a lot about how horrified she is about everything. Like she's like, oh, I can't believe you would say that. This is terrible. And it's like, that's such a perfect energy for Potomac because Potomac was built off of these women that feel they're very fancy. And like, it was built off of Karen Huger schooling Giselle on etiquette. And they're all about etiquette and like how to be proper, the grand dame. That's like the whole vibe of the show. So to have someone come in there who's like clutching her pearls all the time is to me fantastic.
I'm also curious, this whole Mia Inc. Gordon threesome, like what's happening here? What are your thoughts?
That's so messy. Like Mia is such a reality star. Like this is such a reality show kind of thing, which is why it's also good that Stacey was on because there have been many people that are like Mia does not belong on this show, or some people have even said that Mia's brought down Potomac because she's just like trashier. So it's really good that they have like Stacey on to kind of like balance it. You know, it's so messed up. Like that poor kid Jeremiah, when he gets old enough, like he's gonna find out, and this is not gonna end well for him. I'm sorry, it's gonna be really bad. He needs to be under the care of Katie's daughter, the babysitter.
That's the crossover we need.
Yeah.
Katie Star will get all the tea about the
Potomac Kelly will get in there and she's going to protect him and she'll just give him the information that he needs to know.
I also, with Karen's DUI, her second DUI that's still, you know, in litigation. What is going on? She's being so fishy and not talking about anything. Perfect.
This is exactly what we're like. Karen, we're going to see Karen like duck and dodge her DUI all season. And we're like, oh, please, you know, and it's great because you look at it like Karen and Shannon having these like twin DUIs. And it's so fun to see how they're each handling it. You know, Shannon is like, well, no, I take full responsibility. I've been drinking too much and I am trying to change. I will have a Tito's on the rocks. Please make that a double. Thank you so much. like all season long, Shannon's just like drinking. She skipped Luann's entire like fake sobriety season. She just went directly to like, I'll have 3 cocktails this afternoon. I'm not driving. But like Karen, her path is also denial, and hers is like, well, there are a lot of allegations, and so that has to be discussed in court. I'm like, you drove over a median, and you have like a blood alcohol level of like 500. She's like, well, I did hit a sign, but more the question is, did the sign hit me? And she just always talks like it's literally like Watergate. Well, I can't discuss it right now. There's allegations. There's going to be a Senate hearing, and it will all come out then. But in terms of the night, just absolutely cannot discuss it.
She is a politician, truly. And
Yeah.
for me, it was like her threatening people. Like, I'm gonna see who my real friends are. Like, depending how you guys handle this and how you talk about this. It's like,
Yeah.
right.
I know. Who are the real soldiers? And then she's like, she just, she finds the weak link, aka Jacqueline, and then she's like, you implied that I was drunk. So she's just hammering Jacqueline now, and Jacqueline is not handling it the way you handle Karen. Is okay, whatever, Karen, you're just like a crazy old bat. But instead, she's like, I did not say that, Karen. How could you say that? And it's just like, Karen's having a field day with her. It is so perfect.
And Jacqueline is sobbing, starts crying. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline's having a really funny season because she's like, I don't want to be seen as Mia's sidekick. Cut to her being like, I brought you towels for the pool. And it's like all she's doing is being Mia's sidekick. And then I think, by the way, Jassy is really good as a friend of.
Oh yeah.
We haven't seen much of Vivian. Her name's Vivian, right? But she seems like a very lovely. She actually seems like a normal, nice person. I'm like, what are you doing here, Vivian? Get off Bravo. You're too good for this. And then I think Kierna, I had some questions about like Kierna being like a full housewife. She gave me friend of energy, the episode that aired on November 3rd. Kierna, I feel like, was like, okay, she's coming into her own. She, like Mia tried to come for her. Mia tried to be like, hey, I'm gonna haze the new girl. And Kierna basically stopped her in her tracks and I think handled her quite well.
Yeah, I feel like Kiarna kind of started off slow, but she's picking it up this season.
Yeah.
And to hear about her legal troubles with that fight, oh my gosh, she's suing Deborah and the state's suing Deborah. Oh gosh.
Yeah, everyone's suing Deborah.
Okay, we have more franchises to discuss.
It's amazing how much is on TV.
It's unreal. Real Housewives of New York, RHONY season 15. Is also
RHONY. I was like, what else is there? RHONY.
Oh no. So how are you feeling about the new cast members?
Well, they are boring. Listen, I did not like last season at all. I was very vocal about it. There were some good parts, like Jessel, hilarious. I think Jenna is fascinating as her own kooky person. I saw some potential in Brynn, but that was about it. I thought last season was pretty listless. And then this season, I feel like started off like, I was like, okay, it feels like now they have a year under their belt. They've developed their relationships more. I was like, okay, the season's it's better. It's better. I'm enjoying it, but it's kind of fallen into the doldrums again. And I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, what I'm shocked about is that I'm liking Sai this season, which I never ever thought I would say. How do you guys feel about Sai? Are you guys having the same reaction, or am I just like having a weird election year reaction to Sai? Like everything's upside down.
Right,
everything's upside down. So I was like, might as well like Sai.
I feel like Sai last season, right? She was quite unhinged. She was yelling about being hungry all the time.
Yeah,
she was
like unpleasantly unhinged, right?
Yes.
Like not fun unhinged.
No, but I think this season she's like kind of like Wendy. I'm Zen Wen. Like she's
Yeah.
playing
she's
it,
like laughing.
being like I'm calm. Yeah.
She's like, I'm a total bitch. I get it. You're like, okay, well, can't be mad.
She's a bit more lighthearted, so I'm enjoying her too.
Yeah, I feel like Jessel, I thought was going to be more of a central figure. I thought there were like season 2 was going to be focused more on Jessel because she was the breakout star. And instead, they're still just really focusing on Erin. And Erin is just compulsively uninteresting. And I'm like, why? Why are you focusing so much on Erin? I don't want this. As much as she gets annoyed at Brynn for like injecting her own sizzle on things, that's exactly what Erin does. Now, I am enjoying Brynn being the enemy this season. Like, that's a fun twist.
did not see her being a villain coming at all.
Yeah.
The internet hates her right now. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I do
not
kind of like
loving
that.
her either right now. I do understand Uba can be a lot. Like, she truly comes in hot. She's
Yeah.
very, like, passionate. But Brynn is being very, like, condescending, right? And, like, talking down to her and, like, everyone.
Extremely.
And it's really, like, hard to watch. And what Brynn even said to Aaron, like, oh, don't talk to me like you're from Staten Island. It's like, what? Brynn, what are you even, like, saying?
And
Yeah,
her
well,
giving
Brynn-
like marketing advice to people on camera. So weird.
Oh my gosh, yeah, about Rebecca Minkoff's, like, brand.
She's like,
yeah, I mean, I think with Brynn, I think we're seeing that she's like very calculating. She's always read as very fake to me. I've always felt like Brynn was much more interesting when she drops her whole like, oh my god, your dad's hot. Like, I'm like, oh
Baby
my god, you're
voice.
such a tryhard. But the baby
But
voice and the flirtation, it's like, oh god, please see a therapist. But like, she's just, it's so fake. But now we're really sort of seeing the machinery behind the fakeness, and like how she told Rebecca Minkoff, like, yeah, when I sing that, like, give it back to me and like go at it, otherwise you're never gonna last on this show. And then she tells Uba, like, oh, be careful how you're coming off, you're gonna come off as like a angry black woman. And she's like very much about like she's really focused on like the camera. And I think the audience is like just done with it. And it's so funny because last season everyone was like, oh my god, Brynn, she is amazing, she's hilarious. The way she was like, I'm gonna flirt with your dad, like, that is hilarious. I'm like, no. And now I think this season people are like, okay, we're over it.
And I agree, like, Raquel, the new housewife, she's fine. Like, I think she has this really, like, interesting background, and I'm, like, curious about, like, her job, right, and her partner.
Yeah, she's like a cool person to meet at a party.
Yes.
But like, she definitely gives friend of energy, and like she's like just not an interesting Real Housewife. And I think that's like the problem with RHONY right now, is that they are casting people who are like interesting at a party. And I think it's really Bravo is trying to be like, look how fabulous this, like, out with the old. Remember those crazy old ladies from the Upper East Side? Well, they're gone. They don't represent the real New York City. The people who represent the real New York City are these movers and shakers like Raquel and Sai. And you're like, well, that's fine. Like, they work in galleries and influencing and fashion, and like, that's cool. But I kind of want to see the crazy old ladies of the Upper East Side. I want to see how they actually like exist, and how they have like put themselves into some strange bubble of their own reality.
I want to see Leah throw a ravioli at Ramona and Sonia. Like, that's
Thank you. Thank you for finally speaking truth. I want to see that. Like, I'm sorry, like the women on RHONY all seem like very fabulous, but they're just fabulous. That's it. And there's like, it's not like I need to see chaos bombs every time I tune in, but like, it's just, I need to see more than this. I think Rebecca Minkoff is fascinating. I think that like she's like the boring one, but like every time she talks, she always tells some story. You're like, huh. She's like, yeah, one time I put in a Diva cup and it fell out. And it was like a murder scene everywhere. And you're like, whoa. She's like, oh, one time, oh, I didn't have my pump, so I had to take my husband into the bathroom, and he had to suckle at my teeth to get the milk out of my boob. You're like, what? She's like, oh, and I still have my virginity bed. You're like, what? And I'm always telling these stories. You're like, Rebecca Minkoff.
So breastfed her kids till they were like way too tall. And how she was like, yeah, like my parents gave me birth control so I don't do drugs. And you're like, what's going on? Like, what? And I loved how Aaron was like, Rebecca doesn't really make sense. How is she Jewish and a Scientologist? And
yes. I think that's like a thing in Scientology. I seem to remember when there was a lot of scrutiny about Scientology around Tom Cruise. It was like, look, no, Scientology is like a way of life. So you can keep your religion and be a Scientologist. It was like, no. Like, come on. Everyone's welcome here. It's like a Toyota Big Tent event.
I cannot. Okay, we got to talk about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills returning very soon.
Yeah, very soon.
November 19th. So, what are you expecting for this upcoming season? We're going to hear about Dorit's divorce, of course, Kyle and Mauricio fallout. What are you expecting?
I think it'll be more of the same. It'll be like polite dust ups. over and over and over again, where Kyle will make the audience crazy and Sutton will she'll say things like, I've had enough out of Kyle Richards. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then she'll go up to Kyle and be like, I don't like the way you looked at me. And Kyle will be like, Sutton, you're being ridiculous. Fine. And then like, that's it. I'm like, okay, well, that was a good dust up. But like, we all get invested.
I'm excited for Bozoma St. John as a housewife.
Yes.
I feel like I can't think of someone who actually was like a CMO for like Netflix and like Facebook and these big companies that go on Real Housewives.
I know. I am excited too, but I also heard through the grapevine of people who worked at those sort of companies, at those companies at that time, they were like, yeah, she was not very good. They're like, she was there for like, she was CMO for like a hot second and here and there. And so like, I kind of love that. I was like, ooh, that means she's going to be like a little bit of a grifter. Like, she's not a grifter. I don't want to like make it sound like, oh, she's a bad CMO, so she's a grifter, but more like she's going to be like, I want her to be one of these people that's like, I had this position for 3 days, but I'm going to say I had this position. I don't want like my first like thoughts on her to be like this woman who is incredibly accomplished to be like, yeah, well, she was bad at it. Like, that's shitty. I don't want to be like that. But I did hear from people at the company that she was not good. So I don't know. I'm excited for her. She looks like she'll be really funny. And I'm excited to have someone who spent like time in corporate America coming onto the Real Housewives. Very
curious to see how that plays.
She did have to tangle at high levels of like C-suites and on high executive levels. And you have to deal with that sort of politicking in a way that Kyle Richards has never. Right? Ever. And I think it'll be really interesting seeing her come into this group. And she apparently has like a self-help something or another, like seminars and stuff, which always has like that like air of bullshit to it. So I think it'll be great for her to come in with like a twin background of like bullshit and corporate America. And I feel like she's gonna just say hard truths to people because that's what people do in corporate America, I think. Although they both say hard truths and they also don't say hard truths at all. And I just think that Kyle I think she'll be unmoored and she'll feel like insecure that she was just an actress, you know? So it could be really good.
So something else we're excited about. Traitors season 3 returns early 2025. We cannot wait.
Although, to circle back to Potomac, why in the world did they cast Robin on Traitors? Robin, of all the people you're going to put onto Traitors, you're going to put Robin Dixon?
She's like
freshly fired from her main show. They're gonna put her on like a marquee show for Peacock. That's wild.
She's gonna be like Sheree 2.0.
Oh yeah.
Robin is always very suspicious. Like, I feel like part of her personality is like, I can imagine her holding up a magnifying glass to her eye, be like, and she has like, she has dug up dirt on people like Karen before, but yeah, I can't tell. But the Traitors brings out different sides to different people. Like MJ turned out to be a big star last season, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
She was great, and Tamara struggled, so you never know.
Yeah, Tamara was too Tamara for that show. She had to be axed.
How do you think Ayan and Sandoval will do on Traitors?
Ayan will be hilarious because she will have all sorts of like cockamamie theories at that table. She'd be like, I don't like you. She's like, no. he held the glass in a way that I do not appreciate. Like, that is someone who is a cheater or something like that. And she will. She'll be like, in my country, when you hold the glass, that means you are a liar. But Sandoval will he's also gonna be like, dude, I'm trying to tell you, I'm not a traitor. Okay, like, I'm good. I don't want to kill anyone here. I like every single one of you here. Why would I ever want to kill any of you?
If he's not killed first, what are we doing? We got to get Sandoval out the house.
They're not going to kill him first. They're going to go for who else is it? There's like they're going to probably go for someone really good, and that makes me mad. Actually, you know what? Oh, they'll probably get rid of Boston Rob first if he's not a traitor, because I think that the last season, the game players like Survivor and everything, they really dominated. So I think like last season they tried to create a meta game where it was like you have to watch out for the Real Housewives, the Bravo people, because they band together like a clique. But I think it actually revealed that it was the CBS people who band together like a clique. So I think they're going to go after the CBS people, especially Austin Rob.
And Tony from Survivor 2. Like these are people
Tony,
who've won Survivor. They need to go. Like they would be like the first people out.
Yeah, they will be. Although they may go up to the Real Housewives because it really was Phaedra who was the breakout star last season. Because the thing is, the Real Housewives know how to play the social game of Traitors. Like they're way more compelling than the CBS people.
That's true.
Yeah, who do you think will be a traitor based off the cast so far?
I think Dolores may be a traitor because she's so even-tempered. And she will never rat out someone. So I can see Dolores being a traitor.
Loyal.
Oh God, Carolyn from Survivor. She is so good. Wow, this is a good cast. Brittany Haynes. I see someone vanilla like Bob Harper being a traitor. I feel like Bob Harper is gonna like stick around for a very long time, and he's gonna be uninteresting the entire time.
Yeah, people won't suspect him. They're just like, oh, it's just Bob.
Yeah. Sam Asghari will not be smart enough to be a traitor. They may make him a traitor just that way he gets caught right away. He's gonna be like Kevin. I met him once at a party, and he was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Because he has like a really high voice, and he was like, "Oh, so you're a podcaster?" I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Oh, someone told me I once had a voice for radio," and I was like, "Okay, I don't know who told you that, but bless your heart."
How about Sierra Miller from Summer House? She feels kind of random to me on this cast.
She is a little random. Wasn't there a gossip item that Lindsay Hubbard was supposed to be on this cast, but then because she got pregnant, they had to like swap in someone else? I wonder if they swapped in Sierra. I cannot figure out the Sierra of this all. That's a weird choice, I think. I think Sierra and Robin Dixon, they're just so low key, I think Chriselle will be annoying. I think she's going to cry a lot after every time she votes someone off. She's going to cry and she'll be like, guys, next time we have to get it right. And she'll always vote incorrectly.
Always.
Jeremy Collins. I mean, they might make him a traitor. But I think he's going to be a faithful, and he's going to be, I see him going like 3/4 of the way through the season.
They'll need him for challenges. He'll be loyal.
Bob the Drag Queen, they cannot vote out Bob the Drag Queen first after what happened with Peppermint.
Ooh,
Peppermint, that was so brutal last season.
That was so wrong. So I think Bob the Drag Queen will be in for a little bit, and especially because Bob the Drag Queen is like a huge draw. Like that's like anyone who watches Drag Race, like they love Bob the Drag Queen.
Any other final thoughts on Traitors, Ben?
I can't wait. I'm really gonna be like, really, it's all gonna be about Dorinda. I just hope that Dorinda lasts as long as possible. I hope they make Dorinda a faithful, because I need to see her like pointing fingers and getting mad at that table. Like that's really all I need. Also, why can't we just have like a full like nothing but housewives cast? Like, because that's really all we need. I don't need these people from The Bachelor.
No.
I don't need the Survivor people. I watch Survivor. I don't need the Survivor people.
It would be so good if it was just
all Bravo.
I love that idea.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Again, very producerial of you, Ben.
Thank you. Dylan Efron, I don't think we need him. He can go. Yeah.
I don't even know anything about him.
It's just that he's just Zach's brother. That's it.
Claim to fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should go and claim to fame, not Traitors.
I think they like made me throw some like whatevers in there, because if you have too many good people, you don't want like the good people to go first.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But then it's like I really wanted Larsa to last longer last season, because she's just hilarious in that context. Or Tamra, Johnny Bananas, they were all gone, and Janelle, they were all gone way too early.
Yes.
So we got stuck with Peter for the whole season. It's not fair.
Not fair. All right, are we ready for our game? Red flag, green flag, 1, 2, 3.
Please, yes, always.
Okay, so Ben, is it a red flag to call out someone's parenting? We saw this a lot across all the franchise, coming from Mia, people saying that Katie used her daughter to come for Heather, Lisa to Angie, and Angie to Lisa in Salt Lake City. Is it a red flag that calls out someone's parenting?
You know what? I'm going to say it's a green flag. I'm over it being a red flag. It was a red flag for so long. But you know, at this point, there are enough shitty kids out there that it's time that the parents take the blame. So I'm going to say, like, deal with it. You made certain choices with your kids. No one's making fun of the kids. We're making fun of you. So guess what? Green flag, make fun of the parents. It's time for the parents to feel shame.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's great.
green flag. Because we know that parents can do it right also. So like it's time to it's okay. It's people are adults and they can be shamed for shitty decisions they made.
Green flag question. Is it a green flag to question someone's sobriety acting like you care for them? Like, you know, people checking in on Karen or Tamra pretending, you know, to care for Shannon or trying to in her way. But is it a green flag to do that?
I think that's more of a red flag because it's so it's like shitty intentions. It's green flag in terms of comedy, I think, to watch. Like watching all the women on Potomac pretend like they care about Karen's sobriety while simultaneously giving her gifts of like baskets of Uber, you know, gift certificates and like naming the mocktail like the Grand Dame. Like it is literally laugh out loud funny, but it's like shitty, I think, as a friend.
So true.
But I'm not horrified by it. I'm not like, how could they ever? How could they ever? So you know what? Maybe that is a green flag. You know what? Maybe for entertainment value, I'm gonna say green flag.
I agree. Housewives should question someone's
flag.
sobriety. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Ben, what franchises are a wait and what franchises are a watch right now? Like, what are you excited about and what's like your least favorite right now?
We're in a great place right now. I think that SLC and Potomac and Orange County are like watch. I think RHONY is at a wait right now. It's unfortunately, I was kind of hoping that it would defy my expectations, but it's at a wait. The Below Decks, those are good. Those are watches. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, those are watches. Love Island USA. It's been a few months, but guess what? I was just looking at Love Island gossip just right before this because Serena and Cordell dressed up like Clueless, which was so on trend with RHONY and much more entertaining. So Love Island USA is a watch, big time. Watch them all.
Yes.
And Dubai is a watch. Let's give some love to Dubai. Dubai is a watch. Beverly Hills will probably be a watch.
Perfect segue onto our What to Watch segment. So we have Atlanta coming up. We have Jersey, you know, which recently ended. What do you think with the cast shakeups? Kenya's gone. Who should come back for Jersey? What do you think about those two franchises right now?
Ooh, Jersey is a mess right now. Well, I think I love Margaret Joseph, so I think Margaret Joseph should come back. I think they're going to bring back Teresa. I love Dolores, so I think those three would be good. I'm just worried that the relationship between Teresa and Margaret is really bitter right now. I don't know if they can save it. I think Melissa is now. I think we're sunsetting Melissa. Like if we're gonna be like cleaning house, we can get rid of Danielle and Rachel Fuda. They're entertaining enough, but if, in the spirit of like gotta change things up, they can go. Jennifer Aiden, that's a tricky one because she's so terrible, but she can also be so funny. I think that maybe she goes. I think if we're losing Fuda, we lose Jennifer Aiden. I think we keep Margaret and Teresa and Dolores, and we build from there. I don't know. That Margaret's smart. I think she would do what is needed of her to move the show forward. I don't think Teresa's smart enough to do that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm personally over Teresa. I know that she's the OG, but I'm tired of her. I'm tired.
I've been over her since her first season. I've never been a Teresa fan. I couldn't stand her the first season, and I've always never been able to stand her. But I begrudgingly see that she's a star. Like she is their star, so they're not going to get rid of Teresa. And especially after RHONY, now that like RHONY, the RHONY revamp is not doing well for them, and the buzz is really bad on it. So I think that Bravo is not going to do a like full clean house anymore. No. It's too risky.
I think you're right. They have to keep like at least their main star OG, so the fans like feel excited to still see someone they know.
And Kenya leaving Atlanta. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's messy. That was so crazy. I'm very, very concerned about Atlanta. I feel like last season was like really bad. Like they've been on a downward slide for a while. So I have this thing, which is that I think shows that begin shooting and then have to like lose a cast member and kind of like start from scratch while they're shooting suffer because of it. It's like they put the pieces in motion. They put a lot of time and thought into like, these are going to be our cast members. This is how it's going to go. This is the dynamic we're expecting. And these are the storylines we're going to try to like elicit out of them. And then when they have to make that pivot, it can really tank a show. And so the fact that Kenya got fired like mid shooting is, I think, a really bad sign.
I'm like kind of excited because Kenya is so villainous, and I think she got less fun more recently. So I'm kind of happy to see her go.
I mean, yes, she became less fun when she married Mark, because then all of a sudden now she's like a mother, but more importantly, I think she's like constantly has an eye on like how she appears to the courts in their ongoing city situations. So she just can't be as like the great villain that she is. She holds herself back. Portia's coming back. I'm concerned about that. Like, Portia's a great housewife, but I think that Portia, I think she self-produces. I think Kenya self-produces. I'm just worried that there's not enough stuff there. I mean, we got Drew Sidora. I don't know. Like, I like that Drew Sidora is an active con artist. Like, I think that's very funny to me. And then they fire Sheree again. Poor Sheree. How many times can she get fired from the show? I think they should just kept Sheree. Just let her be there. Okay?
Yeah.
Just let her be there on the side. They got rid of Sonia. I think Sonia was...
She wasn't great.
I liked her first season, but second season, she really bored me.
And they got rid of Marlo, too, right?
That's so mean. Poor Marlo worked so long for that peach, and now it's already gone. Oh, they got rid of Candy.
Yeah, they got rid of a lot of people. And then...
Actually, they did. Why am I talking about that? There was like barely a shakeup. This is a shakeup. It's a shakeup.
Yeah. Brittany Eady, Kelly Farrell, and Angela Oakley, all as new housewives. And then longtime friend Shamia is joining.
Right. Shamia got the... Yeah. I really feel bad about Marlo. I don't know why. I just see Marlo as someone tirelessly working for that peach and then botching it. Sad.
So bad.
At least she always has the archive.
Yes. Marlo is iconic. She, like, no matter what.
She is. The housewives, we are so #blessed to have all these housewives airing right now. This is what we really need as a country. It's what we may need to be watching over the next few days to deal with our country. And I think it's great. I think Below Deck has been really good. We got Southern Charm coming back too, and that's always, that's always good. By the way, the Valley was unexplainably excellent. Great. And so it's nice to know that we have that. That's going to come our way soon, and the next season will probably be even crazier. So I feel like Bravo has, I think everything's in a good place with Bravo. Atlanta's a big question mark, but I think New York is not great. But New York is not the worst, by the way. I just want to say, New York is, it's like boring, but it's not like terrible, if that makes sense. But they resuscitated Dubai. I don't know. I think Bravo's in a great place. And, we don't know what's going to happen with Vanderpump Rules, but that's okay. We've got more than enough stuff to watch. And Summer House was amazing this past season. So there's great stuff. I'm very happy. Yeah. I'm thrilled.
Yay. We are too. Bravo is having a moment. Bravo's back. Like it never left. We've loved having you on this episode, Ben. This has been so fun.
Thank you so much for having me back for my returning episode.
I gotta work on that jacket for you.
Yes. Let's start sewing it.
Yes, you're welcome back anytime. Yes. And Ben, tell everyone where they can find you and support you.
You can find me at Ben Mandelker on Instagram and on Twitter. And then Watch What Crappens is at Watch What Crappens on Instagram and What Crappens on Twitter. And the podcast is available wherever you're listening to this podcast is where you'll also find Watch What Crappens.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much, Ben. Always so
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Yes. And if you enjoyed this episode, Sisters You Watch, give us 5 stars wherever you listen. 5 stars. Check out our website. You can buy our merch there. Follow us on social media at Sisters You Watch.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. We want to hear from you, so feel free to DM us, email us, let us know what you think.
Thank you.
Everything.
Stay watching.